Hi everyone, how are you? Have you had a good day? Welcome to our Planet Play workshop with the Lego group and the day. We're so excited you're here today to learn alongside us and to get creative. I'm Natalie. I'm broadcasting from a bit of a dull Midlands here, and I'm a teacher at the day. And if you haven't heard of us, the day is a school newspaper, but we work really hard to help young people like you find your voice. And we also work with Lego to create a weekly sustainability newspaper called Build the Change. And it's completely free, and there's lots of amazing opportunities for you to use your creativity to build a better world. So I'm also here with some very special guests. You are going to meet them very shortly, but just give them a wave for now. So we have David Palash. He's my co-pilot. He's a self-confessed nature nerd, and he's also the director of Learning Through Play at the Lego Group. We've got our special expert guest today is Chantelle Lindsay, and she's a wildlife conservationist. She is a rewilding expert, and she's a TV presenter, and she's got her own show on CBeebies called Teeny Tiny Creatures, and it's brilliant. And then last but not least, we're also joined by our incredible youth council. You won't see them yet, but you'll see them throughout the workshop. And these students help us make this program even better for you guys. And they're going to be joining us today from Aston Fields Middle School in Worcestershire and Holyhead School in Birmingham. So what are we all here to do today? Right, well, we are going to get inspiration for a build. So our latest design competition, Planet Play, launches today. So we want you to leave this workshop absolutely brimming with loads of amazing ideas that you can enter into our competition. And you're also going to learn from our amazing expert, Chantelle, and you can ask her anything you want in a special live Q&A. So there's one very important thing you need to know about this workshop is that it is a creative workshop. So we really want you to draw and build along with us. So drawing is amazing. If you've got a pen and paper, grab that now. But if drawing isn't for you, think about building instead. So you could grab some Lego bricks, some bits of craft, some bits of recycled rubbish, some bits from nature, anything goes. So if you haven't got a pen or paper or some supplies in front of you, you need to go and get those now. So don't worry, you've got a little bit of time. Off you go. Okay, great. If you have got a pen or something to build with, let's get you warmed up with a little creative exercise. Right, so in line with our Planet Play theme, I would like everyone who's got a pen and paper or some creative supplies to draw or build one thing you absolutely love about nature or planet Earth. Okay, you can pick anything you want. So if I was going to pick something, I would pick dragonflies. I just think they are so mystical and magical. And did you know dragonflies were around before the dinosaurs, which makes them about 200 million years old? It's amazing. So I hope you're all drawing your ideas now. But I did this with my children today. My son came up with a daisy. Can you see that? And he picked this because he says that the yellow in the middle reminds him of sunshine and makes him feel happy. And my daughter, Dot, watched an episode of Teeny Tiny Creatures with Chantelle, and she discovered moths, and she absolutely loves moths, and she thinks they're so fluffy and cute, and she wants to cuddle them. Okay, so you might pick something completely different. So you might pick a type of weather, a plant, a tree, your favorite animal, bird, an insect, the sea, or even just how nature makes you feel inside. So I would like you to get drawing now or get building. And then when you've got your idea, ask your grown-up to share your favorite thing and the reason why you love it so much in the chat. Okay, while you're all doing that, I'm just going to talk to your grown-ups. There's just a little bit of housekeeping we need to go through. Okay. Right, so this is an interactive lesson. So we really want you to interact with us using the chat function, which is just down here on the left. And we're just giving it a little wiggle for you. You can ask us questions and we can pose those to our expert or any of our hosts. So if we could check that the chat works. I've seen some people already on there, so thank you. But please do share what your kids love about nature or where you are today. And don't be afraid to ask questions. So Chantelle is going to be with us for a live Q&A at the end. So you can send us questions in the chat all the way through. And that will really help your young people make the most of all her brilliant experience and insights. Really important, if you've got any tech issues, we've got a tech support box, which is next to the chat. I'm trying to put my finger in the right place. There you go. That's just had a wiggle. So if you've got any issues, just pop it in there. And we've got our dream team behind the scenes. That's Rachel and Tara, and they will be ready to answer any questions or sort out any issues. Finally, this lesson is being recorded. Don't worry, we're not filming you, we can't see you, but it just means you can watch us back, or you can share the session. We're going to send out the link after, and it will be available on the web page. And if you're joining us on demand and you're watching it back, welcome. You can still take part in all the activities and the competition. You just won't be able to engage with the chat. So please remember to like and share. And also really useful, we've got a handouts box, which is also in that magic box next to the tech support. And that's got loads of free downloadable resources like our competition leaflet. So kids can use that to kind of help them structure their response. The Planet Play Assembly, if you haven't already delivered it. And our latest Build the Change Tuesday articles with loads of ideas to help them with their letters and their designs. So this can all be found afterwards with this link. But if you struggle with that, it's also in the chat, I believe. But you can just Google the day, Build the Change, Planet Play, and it will pop up in the search like magic. Right, everyone, time to put your pens or paper or building materials down. Okay, have you all got some art and craft supplies ready in front of you? I think that's a yes. Okay, great. If you did, right, did anyone get a chance to draw or make something you love about nature? I've got the chat open. I can see some hellos coming through, but no nature yet. So let's see some. If you did, share it in the chat now. In the meantime, let me introduce you to David Palash from the Lego Group. David, do you want to say hello?
Hello, folks. Thanks, Nat. What an awesome intro. I loved it. It's getting me excited for the rest of the broadcast for sure. I've got my papers here like a newsreader. Good to see you all. To all of those I've met before, how have you been? To all of those who are new, how have you been? I guess. My name's David. I'm at the Lego Group, as Nat said, and I've been here for, 9 years, coming on 10 years next year. And I've spent the whole time, believe it or not, playing. Because playing is super important. Can you believe adults and grown-ups can play? Yes, they can, and they should play more. I think you'll agree. But my job is looking at play and how play can help us learn, help us develop skills, help us connect with the world around us. And that's what we're looking at today. And I work on the program Build the Change with a bunch of other cool people. Shout out Ben, Jess, Anders, Louisa, Liz. I've just got to give them a quick shout out. Now, we work on a program that aims to give children a couple things. One, a connection to real world issues and challenges that we are facing as people and as a planet, and also to get your ideas heard by grown-ups who, let's be honest, aren't listening that much. Yeah, I think we all agree on that. Grown-ups could listen to children a little bit more. And that's why we have this platform. So hopefully today, all of the ideas that you share, we can get out there. But let's see a little bit more about Build the Change in a short intro clip. Let's have a watch and learn more. Here we go.
Are you ready to build the change? The Earth needs your amazing ideas to take on the big challenges that our planet and people face. Like protecting the environment or building a future where everyone is included. Building the change is all about using imagination and play to come up with your creative ideas for a better, more sustainable future. Because your ideas are awesome. And everyone needs to hear them, from your friends and local decision makers to world leaders and people everywhere. So, are you ready to build the change?
Wow. Are you ready to build the change? I am.
Yes,
Nat, are you
definitely.
ready? Are you energized?
Yes, I
Me
was
too.
born ready.
Me too. You're born ready. I know. This is our thing, right? We love hearing people's ideas. And already, Nat, we've got some coming in. Is that right? We've got a few here. Should we shout those out?
Okay, well, we've got some school shout outs first. We've got All Hallows
Go
Catholic
for it.
School. Hey. And we've got Preston
Hey,
Home Ed Crew. And we've got Indy from Teesside. I can't say that in the accent, but it's some kind of E up, which I absolutely love. And we've got some brilliant
lovely.
ideas. What we've got a stripy, dotty butterfly. We've got bananas and mangoes. Yes, two of my favourites. Raymond has drawn a park with cat. Nice. Oh, these are our friends from
Wow.
Holyhead. Yay! And we've got a beautiful
Nice.
dolphin basking in the sun. Some lovely ideas there.
Wow.
Okay. So what?
Wow.
I mean, why are we
Nat,
asking them all to share that?
can I share mine? I feel like I
Oh
want to
yes,
share. Is that all
sorry,
right?
David. Bad teacher.
I built
Please share yours.
Hey, listen to me. I built a long-tailed duck. So everyone who knows me knows that I'm obsessed with birds. And this is a long-tailed duck. Look at that. Look at that tail there. And it's even caught a fish. So that's what I love about nature. I
Brilliant.
love birds. Cool. Thanks for letting me
So
share.
why did you pick the long-tailed duck though? What makes that so special? It was a great build, by the
Well,
way.
thank you. It's you work with the materials that you have and you're resourceful, and these are the things I saw and they inspired me. I thought, okay, I love ducks, I love long tails. Let's do a long-tailed duck. It was as simple as that.
Amazing. Brilliant. The inspiration just hit you. So why are
That's
we
it.
asking you all to share about your favorite things about nature? Well, we have found out that people who feel connected to nature when they're young grow up to become better guardians of the planet, and they care more about the planet. So I've got a little slide here. It's official. Playing out is good for the planet. So you can read all about it in this week's News Detectives Build the Change Tuesday. But we want to get all young people playing outside so you can all play and fall in love with nature and protect the planet when you're older. Right, David?
Absolutely. It's very important. We need more people protecting the planet. But playing outside, of course, is really great, not just for nature, but also for people too. Now, before we get on to the contents of this slide, which we're going to get you thinking about, I wanted to share a few things. So when we play, incredible things happen inside of our brains. These little things called neurons start connecting and creating new pathways, new skills developed. It's our brain's favorite way to learn. That's one of our favorite expressions. Now, also, let's think back to those animals we've just mentioned. Do animals play out? I think they do. I think they're very good at playing. And why do they play? Because animals tend to do things that they only need to do, and play has an important role for them to connect and learn about how they survive in the big wide world. And it's the same for us. We need help becoming lifelong learners, and play enables that. It helps us build resilience. It helps us get tougher in problem solving and creative solutions and all those wonderful things. And of course, don't forget, we are actually all part of nature too. That's very important to remember. So lots of you will have learned about the benefits of playing outside in your Planet Play assembly and our News Detectives article. Now look at the pictures on the screen. Can you remember the 4 kind of areas that benefit from playing outside? Can you remember that? Let's see if you can put them in the chat there. Let's see, I'll keep an eye on it while you put those in. What were the 4 areas? And these pictures are helpful clues, especially one of them's very literal. Any ideas? What were those 4 areas that benefit from playing outside? What do you think? Even if you haven't joined the assembly beforehand, can you guess? What are in those pictures? Okay, put it in the chat, anyone. If not, I will move swiftly on. No one putting them in the chat. Okay, I will give you the answers then. I'm feeling pretty generous today. It's one of those days. It's Tuesday, it's not Monday. Let's be generous, David. So first of all, that picture in the bottom left, brains. Now, when we play, neurons, as I mentioned, the nerve cells that carry electric messages around our body, form new connections in our brain and help us learn more easily and develop awesome skills. How cool is that? That's pretty cool. It's science. And when we're outside, of course, there are so many opportunities to use our imagination and our brain. So being outside is awesome. Then there's our bodies. So using our bodies, maybe that picture in the middle. Our bodies, think about the adventures you have when you're outside. All the twists and turns that you put your body through, jumping over streams, climbing trees, all of those things. Now playing catch, chasing your friends, all of these actions help in what is called gross motor skills to develop. Those big movements that our bodies make. Play helps us strengthen our balance, our coordination, our ability to judge distances and perspectives. Super important. Two more things. Relationships. I think that picture at the top there with everyone hugging and celebrating is about relationships. Now, we can, of course, develop relationships with those around us anywhere, indoors and outdoors. But when we're outside, there are more social opportunities to work together to overcome different challenges that the outdoor setting can bring. We can develop trust as we help each other across a stream or a huge puddle. We can develop communication skills, helping encourage each other up and down a tree or a steep hill. Be careful. And then we can, of course, build collaborative skills, collaborating, working as a team. Outdoor play rocks for this stuff. And the last one, our well-being. So how we feel, our mental well-being. Now, when we play outside, all of the things you've already heard about add up to help build our self-esteem, how we feel about ourselves, our confidence, and how we can emotionally connect to the world around us, how we deal with failing at a task. I know when I fail at tasks, I still get a bit upset, but once you've done it a few times and worked through it with others, it gets a bit easier. How do we bounce back from failure? How do we keep healthy mentally? How are we happy with the awesome role we play in everything we do? So being outside in nature, of course, also helps reduce something called anxiety and stress. It's proven. I'm always out in nature. It helps me relax, for sure. It calms us down. So those are a bunch of things there for us to think about. Now, similar to what we've heard on the other slide, playing outside also benefits communities. Now look at these pictures here. Now I was a teacher for many years, and that picture of the parachute brings back a lot of very fond memories. We use that every single day whenever we needed something to do. Get the parachute out. Now, similar to what we've heard, working outside helps communities because we're working as teams, or teamwork, collaboration. We're building those relationships. Now these are all vital for a healthy community. But here's the catch. With urbanization, basically that means more and more people living in cities around the world. Now, with urbanization, people living in more cities, it is more and more difficult to build and nurture strong communities. People live in their own bubbles. It's difficult to break this. Now, playing outside on the street, it breaks down those barriers. It helps people connect. It forms friendships. I'll give you an example. When I grew up in America, and I lived on a nice cul-de-sac, and we lived there for a good 7 months, didn't really know anyone around. Then one day, I don't know what happened, but we all played on the street. And suddenly there were kids we'd never met. We became friends and families met. It was beautiful. So I'm sure you all have memories like that or something similar. Super, super important. So Nat, this brings up the problem we're trying to solve today, doesn't it?
It does. It makes me feel so happy that the thing that we all love doing so much is so good for us. And I have really similar memories as too. So I'm really passionate about this particular problem. And we know that playing out is amazing. But unfortunately, over half of children aged 4 to 11-year-olds never play outside on their own street. And if you can't play outside, how can you connect with nature? And how can you grow up to be these guardians of the planet that we all need? So we think this is a change worth building. And luckily, we're not alone. In Bristol, we met a group of parents who didn't think this was fair either. And they came up with their own solution, which is genius. And they formed a charity called Playing Out. And we went out to meet them to find out more. And we're going to play a little video just to summarise that.
Welcome to our latest Build the Change Challenge. Planet Play brought to you by The Day in partnership with the Lego Group. 60% of 4 to 11-year-olds in the UK never play on their own street. But did you know that all kids have a super special right to play outside? There is a law that says every child should get to play because it's a super important part of growing up and you learn through play. It's actually written down in a big important book called the UN Conventions on the Rights of the Child. Check out Article 31. We're speaking with Playing Out, a charity that helps communities close off their roads to create play streets.
Hi, I'm Ingrid and we're a parent and resident-led movement helping to reclaim safe space for children to play on their doorstep.
Space on our doorstep was very underused and just dominated by cars, and so we started just thinking, how could that be different? It was something very, very simple, and it was just stopping the fast moving traffic coming through our street.
If they have safe space to play, they will be active, they will socialise, they will be happier, they will be healthier, and that's really what we're trying to change.
And the first step that we always say to people is to talk to your neighbours. It's really good for it to be a community joint effort. And then the next step would be to apply to your local council for permission to close the streets. Once you've got the permission, then you've just got to make the space safe.
People in our network have got children to design their own posters, signs just to kind of show we live here, children live here.
Also an idea called parklets, which is taking what would be a car parking space, but turning it into a mini park.
Being outside close to home, you are going to be connected with nature, and children will just automatically do that and have that. But also, if children do have that on their doorstep, they're going to grow up with more of a understanding and belonging to the outside world.
Our vision is that all children from all backgrounds, wherever they live, have access to the space on their doorstep. They can just go out the front door and play with their friends.
Children really clearly saying what they want and need is important, and people do keep asking children. So I think children saying that they want to be able to play and they want that freedom and they want to go outside is really, really important.
Over the coming weeks, we'd like your help imagining a solution to this very important problem. Ask your teacher or grown-up to enter your ideas into our competition to win prizes and put your ideas in front of decision makers.
Wow. Isn't that cool, Nat? I love that. I mean, that's one amazing solution to this problem, set up play streets. Now, we're going to be sharing all the information that you need to set up your own play street in your area after this lesson. So look out for that. Now, we think that's an awesome idea because all of us believe that it's children's right to play. You've heard it. It is a right. We need to broadcast that. And I really like the message that came through strong in that video, that children's voices are super important. We need to listen to them. And I'm sure all of you watching agree. So today is all about, well, first of all, before I go into that, I would like to know if anyone has actually played on a play street. Put it in the chat. Let us know if you have, and we'll come back and have a look at that, because it's pretty cool.
We've got some lovely
have we got
stories, David.
Amazing.
Yeah, well, we've got some lovely
Share.
stories, on the chat. Jazz says he
Nice.
rides his bike on his street, looks at bugs, plays it, and loves playing with a few kids that live on his road. At Newbold School, they go to Forest School where they learn about nature and play and build and spend time together. And Darcy, Matthew and Harry from Church Drive have had a massive water fight and all their families joined in. And look, Disco, my cat, is getting so excited about all this chat about play. He's come to see what's going on.
Cats are very playful. Cats are very playful. What's your cat's name? Disco?
Disco.
I love that. I love that. Does your cat dance? Anyway, moving on. We're forgetting, digressing. So today is all about you sharing your ideas, but us giving you some inspiration too. So let's get those creative juices flowing. Right, Nat, what have you got?
Right. Wow. I was just thinking that playing outside in nature is great because it stimulates all your senses and it helps you be even more creative. So I thought we could use our senses now to help us visualize and imagine some ideas and solutions to get us started on your wild play street. So let's try it. I want everyone to close their eyes. Take a nice deep breath. And you are going to picture the street where you live exactly as it is. Don't change anything. This is as you know it. What can you see around you? Probably lots of cars, lots of buildings. Is it busy or quiet on your street? Are people inside the houses? Are they out and about? Is it busy? What colours can you see? Is it more grey or green? Is there any grass, trees, wildlife, litter? What can you smell? Hopefully not litter, but maybe cars. Maybe it's flowers or freshly mown grass. Or maybe it's your big brother's cheap Lynx deodorant, which I think David dropped in there. So what can you usually hear? Maybe it's the road or it's the train tracks by you. That's what I can hear a lot. Dogs barking, people singing, your mum and dad moaning at you to get to school. Right. So hopefully you've got a picture in your mind. Open your eyes. And now just try and make a little sketch or a map of your street while it's all fresh in your mind, because we're going to be reimagining this next. Okay, have you got it down? I'll give you a little second. While you do that, I might just draw mine out quickly. You might want to do the same, David. Okay.
Yeah. Other deodorants are available.
Okay, so now we are going to see, here's a vision of a wild play street. Okay, so if you look at the slide in front of you, can you see how nature and the community are all living next together? It's really nice. Now close your eyes again, and this time reimagine your street as the ultimate play street. Okay, so this is where everyone who lives on your street is outside playing and enjoying each other's company. If you've ever had a street party, that kind of vibe. So the best bit, there's no cars. In this reimagining, there are no cars. What can you see now? How's it changed? What are people doing? Are they playing in the streets, on the roads? Are they drawing on the roads? Are they sitting, standing? Are they happy? What can you hear? There's no sound from passing cars. So what can you hear instead? Can you hear the sounds of birds, people chatting, music, children playing? And what can you smell? So there's no smell from car exhaust, thank God. What can you smell instead? Maybe people are cooking and sharing family recipes, or maybe you can smell all of the flowers and the plants you've planted. Right, take a minute. Okay, now open your eyes. Quickly, while it's fresh, jot down any ideas you had, anything you imagined. Right, now we would like you to imagine you're going to bring your vision to life, right? So if you're going to make this for real, where would you start? I would like you to pick one object or one building you would include in your ultimate play street to really bring people together. So one idea is a bench that parents and older residents could sit down and have a chat while the kids played. But I know you're way more creative than that. David, are you going to build something as well?
Yeah, just starting. Yeah, I'm thinking something along the lines of people love water, right? And water,
Yes.
although you got to be careful with the little ones around, but something like a pond, bringing people together, people can sail boats on it, learn about nature, all of that stuff.
Love that. Okay, that's a brilliant starting point. Right, so everyone at home, everyone in schools, I would like you to build or draw your object right now. Then when you've got your idea in your head, tell your grown-ups so they can share it in the chat and we can share your ideas with the world. Okay, so Denzel said we would open up access to the brook on our street. Oh, wow, that would be amazing. Some really lovely ideas. Right, while you build those or you draw them, okay, we are going to hear some ideas from our amazing youth counsellors from Aston Fields Middle School and Holyhead Secondary School, and they are going to share what they would include in their play street to bring everyone together.
The one thing we'd build in our play street to unite people would be a dance drawing stage. It unites people through music.
So as a team, we collectively decided to build a monument here, where people can come together and socialise. Here we have a slide, which has a lift for those who cannot use the stairs so they can still enjoy the slide. Here we've got an area for people who cannot walk, and such there's a wheelchair here to represent it. And such, as well as inclusivity, we've got two flags here. We've got the LGBTQ flag as well as the trans flag here. And as well to incorporate nature, we have this green space here.
The one thing I'd build for people in my wild play street would be a racing track. me and my team thought of this because we wanted people to be more fit and come outside more and join together with more people to have fun. And then there's always a good thing in staying off your screens and always enjoying nature.
The one thing we build for people in our play street is a chill out zone. We built this because it brings people together and makes them have a nice relaxing time.
Oh, amazing.
I
I love
amazing.
that.
They're so different. All of them. What did you think, David?
Different. Well, I love them. They were so different. There was variety, and that's the beauty of play. We all have different imaginations and different solutions, but also the fact that there was a lot of talk about bringing people together, the joy, the connecting. That was really nice, but also the role nature plays in that, which always makes me happy, as you know. So beautiful, beautiful ideas. Let's make them all happen. Has anyone got enough money?
Yeah,
Let's just do it.
We got some lovely ones on the chat as well. So we've got Holly Head have now decided they come up with the best ideas. They would like a pool with a disco to have a big pool party. Denzel wants some barbecue setups. Lily, our lady, suggested some hobby horses. Amazing. We can have little races. And our ladies Perth wants a tree to climb on. Love climbing trees. And chalk to draw. See, you don't need much.
Love
Don't
that.
need much, do you?
Love that. No,
Amazing.
you don't. You don't. Very cool.
Brilliant.
Love
Okay.
it.
So I think everyone now should have a starting point for your wild play street. You've got one object that you can include in your design for our competition that you could use to bring your whole community together. But we don't want it to just be about bringing people together. We want it to be about nature as well. So what could you include in a really wild play street? So this is where our expert is going to be very, very useful. Chantelle, our wildlife conservation expert and CBeebies star. And we're going to talk to her to find out some more about rewilding and get some more inspiration. So don't forget, while you're listening, you can carry on building or drawing any ideas that pop into your head while you listen. Hello, Chantelle.
Hi, Chantelle. How you doing?
I'm doing fabulously. I'm so excited to be here. I'm just seeing all the ideas and things that are coming out in the chat, and it's really exciting. So thank you for having me, and thank you for watching. Hello to everyone.
Fantastic. Now you've got a bunch of slides to show us as well, haven't you?
I
Got
do
some
indeed.
awesome stuff there. Awesome stuff there. Do you want to have some questions first, or do you want to show those?
Oh, I don't mind. I could have questions. I could talk about what got me into wildlife conservation. Is that what we're going into?
Yeah, that's what we're going to do. We're going to ask you some questions exactly on that. So we're of course super excited for you to join us, but just as you were preempting there, we'd love to hear a bit about yourself and what you do. And most importantly, how did you get started as a wildlife conservationist?
Fabulous. Yeah, I wear a lot of hats, not literally because I don't look that great in hats, but it's just a saying. I do a lot of things, but to kind of put it in a nutshell, I'm a wildlife conservationist and a presenter. And a wildlife conservationist, if you're not sure what that is, basically conserve just means to protect, to restore, to keep. And so I help to keep wildlife for generations to come, and so that we can keep benefiting and loving wildlife. I was born in Doncaster in South Yorkshire, so A up, whoever's from Hull. I then moved over to Peterborough, but I've now lived in London for most of my life. So I say that I'm a Yorkshire lass, but a Londoner as well. And for me, nature has always been my safe space. It's been the place where I've had the most wonder, the most awe, and it just brings me a real sense of peace. And growing up, I used to think that I didn't have any creative skill, which if you think that about yourself, it's not true, because creativity comes out in so many different ways. But I thought that about myself. And so I was like, you know what? Nature's my thing. I'm going to lean right into that. And so throughout my life, I just followed that. And in the first couple of pictures, you can see that's me and my family, my mum and my two sisters out in wildlife, a couple of bananas, why not? And the next picture is me with a dog. For my work experience, I worked at a canine hydrotherapy centre, because I was very set on, I feel like when you are when you are a nature nerd, the first thing that people want to push you into, or the first career choice that people think, is that you want to be a vet. But I decided very early on that I couldn't be a vet, because if I had to put anything down, I would be a mess. And so for my work experience, I didn't do veterinary, I did canine hydrotherapy, which is basically dogs swimming around in a pool on a water treadmill for their strength and helping. It's almost like a gym for them. I kept following that. I did some animal rights activism in school, and I won an award for raising awareness for animal rights during school. And nobody asked me to do this, but I would just go into assemblies and I would talk about how awful the fashion fur industry is and animal testing and all of that. A proper nerd, but in the best way. So if you're a nerd, love you. We're all a nerd at something, I'm sure, and I love that when someone gets talking about their nerdy subject, it's like you see the light in their eyes. So if you're a nerd, embrace it. We love you. And yeah, I'll fast forward. I have to do a very, very quick kind of intro. But yeah, so I just kind of kept following my nose, leaning into that. And, you know, one of the issues with getting into wildlife conservation is knowing about it in the first place. And so I'd watch a lot of documentaries, David Attenborough, I'm sure a lot of us know David Attenborough. And I just decided, oh my goodness, I want to do that. And so I had to do a lot of research on my own. And eventually I decided that I wanted to go to university, which actually you don't have to go to university to do this profession. You can get a lot of life experience in other ways. But I went to university and I studied animal behaviour and wildlife conservation. So this very strange warped picture you can see, that's me throwing my graduation cap up in the air. It took me 3 years to get into the industry because it's quite competitive. Even after going to university, it was a lot of, you know, you don't have enough experience. And so just as I was ready to give up and I was like, you know what, maybe I should go into banking or something more reliable. I came across something called the Keeping It Wild traineeship, which London Wildlife Trust puts on, which is a charity that I now work for. So you can actually skip across to the next slide. So it's a charity, thank you, that's perfect. It's a charity that I work for called London Wildlife Trust, and they've got an initiative called Keeping It Wild, which is for 16 to 25-year-olds, and you do it's now a 4-month placement, but I did 3 months of working at this charity and doing lots of conservation and learning those techniques. And from that, I then went on to get a job with the trust on a project called the Great North Wood, which in these pictures you can see I'm nailing things. We're capturing bumblebees in pots to study them. We were using Kelly kettles, which are kind of like kettles that you can use while camping. And I just started to discover more about UK wildlife because I initially wanted to go off to Africa, to South America, to these really beautiful places, exotic places. But actually one of the best things that you can do is to look at the nature on your doorstep. And so I got to know our nature and it just took me on this amazing journey. And I now work for the Trust on a different project called Nature in Mind, which is bringing young people out into nature who have got mental health difficulties. Because nature, being outside in nature is amazing for mental health and physical health. And so that's what I'm doing now. And we can skip along. Sorry if I'm babbling and talking really quickly.
No.
But it just doing the traineeship led onto so many amazing opportunities. I volunteer with an organisation called Action for Conservation, which helps young people to get out into nature. I volunteer with Heal Rewilding, which is a rewilding charity, very new but incredible, grassroots, which just means from starting very small and working your way up. And they fundraise to buy land to rewild. So we'll get on to rewilding soon. I've worked with Chester Zoo. I work with Natural History Museum on their children's gallery. And I've been lucky enough to do a bunch of podcasts and things like that. And it's something that's taken me into opportunities that I never thought I would do. People want to hear from me and I'm like, oh, little old me, you want to hear from me? But all of us, every single one of us, every person that's watching right now, you've got a story to tell. And there's another little person like you, even when you're my age, even when you're grown up, there's a little person that needs to hear from you. So even if you think, oh, my life's boring, it's not. Someone needs to hear from you. And that's what I've learned. And then fast forwarding to the next slide, our tech magician, thank you. I now present as well. So I have a show on CBeebies called Teeny Tiny Creatures with Chantelle and Rory, where I present with one of the best humans I know, Rory Crawford. He's he's not wee at all, he's very big. Yeah. He's a Scottish man. And we go all over the UK looking for teeny tiny creatures and looking for young people who are doing amazing things to help teeny tiny creatures. And it's been fantastic. You know, I've met hedgehogs, and actually I cried in this picture. I'm holding a hedgehog. I'd cried because when I was younger, hedgehogs were my favourite animals in the world. Yes. And they're very in danger, but they're just the cutest thing. And that's just taken me around the UK and seeing bits of nature that I never thought I'd see. And just recently, to draw it to a close, I've just come off tour with the CBeebies prom, which is all about the ocean, how it helps us. And so this nature nerd who didn't think she had any creative skill is now singing, dancing and acting on stage. And so that in a nutshell is what I do. And just, nature is the love of my life, really.
Amazing. So, Nat, you had a few comments to that, didn't you?
Oh, what, could you tell by my face?
Yes.
I just think oh my God, your journey has been amazing. It's incredible to see all the different adventures you've been on and all the different ways you help animals. We've been talking about growing up and connecting with nature. Was that really important for you? Has that influenced you?
It absolutely was. It really was. My mum used to take us out into nature as much as she could. We'd go riding through woodlands, actually through Sherwood Forest, which is in Nottingham. And actually, I'd forgotten that memory. But the other day, I was mountain biking for the first time. And that memory unlocked of us just going as a family through woodlands. And when we lived in Peterborough, she would bring us up to the Natural History Museum to see all this all the wildlife in the museum. So for me, it was really important. And playing out, especially when I was in Doncaster, when I was a little one, was such a huge part of our life. The initiative of the Play Street is super important because actually our road wasn't very busy. There wasn't a lot of cars that would go through. So we didn't have to kind of close off the road. But I just remember looking at ants and watching how they work and, making mud kitchens and doing things like that. And the road that I live on now is super busy with cars. So actually, whereas we wouldn't have needed it back then, now we probably would need a Play Street. But it just, it ignited that love for nature and that just falling in love with animals, which has led me down this path.
Love that. And I actually, part of my childhood was in Peterborough too, Chantelle.
No way.
We were in the same neck of the woods. Yeah. Stamford, around there. Yeah.
Brilliant. I lived in Crowland, which is really apt. And there were a lot of crows.
No way. I know Crowland. Yeah, you were out in the fens. Sorry. Yeah, we must catch up. Amazing. Oh, good stuff. Now, we wanted to talk a little bit more about the Play Streets and their role with nature, didn't we?
Yes. Yeah. So, I mean, we've just heard, you've been hearing all the amazing ideas from our viewers and they're brilliant at thinking up things that are going to bring people together, but some of them might not know how to bring nature into that. So we were just hoping that you would give us some ideas. And I think actually we've got a little slide here showing your garden, David, just to get people thinking.
That is my garden. So Chantelle, as I mentioned, I'm a complete nature nerd as well. Studied environmental science, crazy about it. I never stop talking about it. But this is my garden. It's very rewilded. We haven't mown the lawn. We're doing no mow May and no mow June and no mow July, I think. And we have seen a huge increase in the number of insects and frogs. We've got like 20 frogs in our garden. Believe it or not, in that top picture, we've got 2 ponds just they're inundated with vegetation full of tadpoles, newts. We've got a whole bunch of stuff. And we also had birds nesting in the garden this year. We also have a bee hotel, which is awesome. You can watch them coming and going. But rewilding, super important. But a lot of us in the UK, we have very tidy gardens, very manicured. Some might even have astroturf. Now, I'm sure if you think about biodiversity and supporting nature, you could probably understand that that's not so good for nature. Lawns aren't that great biodiversity wise. This kind of wild look and feel is way better at supporting ecosystems. Now, Chantelle, that's where I'd love to ask you a few questions about rewilding. So we all need to get messy, right? And start being comfortable with messy landscapes, messy gardens, and rewilding our residential areas. So I haven't really explained what rewilding is. What is it? Why is it important?
Yeah, so rewilding is a concept that can mean a lot of things, to be honest. It can be small scale and it can be big scale. But kind of in a nutshell, how I like to think about rewilding is that it's giving nature a breathing space, so a bit of space to breathe and to heal. It means natural regeneration, which is, you know, of trees and plants and wildflowers. And that just means to allow them to grow up themselves, to seed themselves as well. And it just gives a space where animals can live freely, and vulnerable species, so species that are at risk, can recover. But like I said, it can be small scale as well. So you can, if you've just got a balcony, for example, or a small garden or a communal garden, you can plant pots of lavender, for example, and that creates a corridor for species. Or it can be large scale, for instance, people bringing pigs onto their land again, bringing horses onto their land and cattle. So if you've got that much space and you can get a cow on there, go for it. But it can be, yeah, I like to say, work with what you've got and build it and they will come, which is like my favourite saying and works very well with Lego as well.
Definitely. I love that phrase. And that's exactly what happened when we put a pond in, Chantelle. We built, and then the frogs and the newts showed up like magic. So what kind of adventures have you been on? Rewilding adventures. What did you learn on those?
Yeah. So like I said, I've worked with Heal Rewilding, which is a newish charity that was set up so that we could fundraise and buy some land. And so they've just bought some land in Somerset. And they wanted it to be as close as they could to a city. It's not the closest. It was really hard to find a site in this kind of economic area that we're in now. But it's a site in Somerset, and it was old farmed land. So they're basically letting the land breathe now. And I went and visited it. And I went and visited actually last year, and just kind of seeing, you know, the grass has been mown with an inch of its life. There weren't many insects around and things like that. And then going back this year and seeing they've let the grass grow. And like you said, David, the insects have multiplied. So it's fantastic. And also actually one in London. In Ealing is the harvest mice reintroduction program. So part of rewilding is also reintroduction, and so harvest mice are at risk because a lot of their habitat is being lost to farming and things like that. And actually we have a teeny tiny creature episode on exactly what I'm talking about, and we released some harvest mice into Ealing, which is in London. And believe it or not, London has a lot of green spaces and wildlife, and so yeah, things like that are just epic, where we're actually releasing, you know, wildlife back into nature and beavers and all that exciting stuff. So yeah.
I love that. I love that. And you'll be very happy to know we've had some people sharing in the chat that one group has honeybees and they're rewilding their garden. Others have made a futuristic eco-friendly boat from Lego bricks, which collects water from the sea and distributes the water to a lot of plants. Isn't that cool?
Oh my goodness, I need to see that.
Amazing. And another one, a year 7 from Denzel, given part of the school to rewilding for the last Build the Change competition, and it looks really wild at the moment. Good news, right, Chantelle? Good news.
That is brilliant news. And you see, this is why we need young people, because your mind's brilliant.
Absolutely, absolutely. So we've got a slide up right now. It's got some tips on it. Are these from you? Are these the kind of tips you give for rewilding?
Absolutely, yes. So these are all sort of things, kind of small scale-ish, that you can do, and hopefully give you some ideas for your building as well. But bird feeders are really easy. They attract birds. Not only that, but squirrels. If you've got bird feeders, you'll know the battle that you have with squirrels. I've just given in now. But you can make bird feeders as well. And actually sourcing the food isn't too expensive, so it can be quite accessible. Also, pollinator friendly plants, so lots of pollen in your garden, and just getting like seed packets and having fun growing those will attract lots of our pollinators, our moths, our butterflies, hoverflies, all of those beautiful creatures. Like David said, number 3 is leaving grass unmown. So if you can, leave a bit of your grass, even if it's just a little part of your garden. If you can't battle to get the whole garden unmown, just battle for that little piece. And things like grasshoppers love long grass, so that would be great for them. Dishes of water. So if you can create a pond, absolutely fabulous, like David has. Ponds, they support such a wealth of wildlife, from dragonflies, hog lice, leeches, all kind of squirmy things that people might find quite gross, but actually really good for our environment. But again, if you can't build a pond, I've got in my garden like a used takeaway container, and I just fill it up with water with a stone in it. And the reason I put a stone is if ants or little creatures fall in, they can get back out, and I'll see the birds going to that for some water. You'll see them bathing in it. I'm sure hopefully I've got hedgehogs in the garden, they might have a little sip from it. So water sources are super important, and especially with our current climate crisis where it's getting a lot hotter, our creatures need something to drink from. So that's the water. Number 5 is log piles. I'm a massive lover of dead wood, and dead wood just means wood that's fallen from the tree, or even trees that are dying, logs, sticks, and you can just build a little pile in your garden, and they are fantastic for basking reptiles, so reptiles who just want to get a bit of sun. They are really good for detritivores, which are creatures that break down organic material, and also for things like stag beetles. And stag beetles are our largest beetle. They are magnificent creatures, so if you can, look them up after this.
Amazing.
Yeah, they are fantastic. So log piles in your garden, just build up a bunch of sticks, super easy. Number 6 is holes in fences. Now, holes in fences help our hedgehogs. They help other mammals, but most importantly, our hedgehogs, which are in severe decline at the moment. And it just means that when you've got fences up in your garden, our little hedgehogs, they're not as great as foxes and cats that can just jump over and things like that. They need to be able to get through gardens to access food and to travel and to meet each other so that they can make babies. So if you just make a little hedgehog-sized hole in your fence and ask your neighbour as well, you can let your hedgehogs just go on through, and they can mosey on and find their mates and some food. And then last but not least, we've got boxes. So you can either put up nest boxes, which are for birds, and you get loads of different ones. You can get ones which are for owls, which are pretty huge, ones for robins, which is smaller, and blue tits. And that just helps them to have a home for spring when they're making their babies and they're building their nests. And also bats. So it's our nocturnal friends. You can get bat boxes, which are different to bird boxes, and pop them up in the tree. And hopefully at night, you can get a bat detector and have a listen for the bats. And they are super helpful. They eat insects, and they're really helpful for our ecosystem. So those are just a few tips, which I hope are super accessible. And I'm sure that a lot of you have already got some of these in your schools.
Wow. So cool to hear those things. I love bats. I love bats.
Me too.
Hey,
That's
Nat's
my
back.
favourite.
Talking about bats, here's Nat.
I'm back.
It rhymes.
I'm back.
There we go.
They're amazing. Right, everybody, I think you should write down those ideas. Although what's coming through on the chat, it seems like you're all brilliant at this stuff already. So we've got eco clubs with bat boxes and all sorts of amazing ideas. But what we want you to do now is to collect what Chantelle's just shared with you and to create one thing for nature. Just before you go, we're running a bit low on time, so now add something to your build that is really good for nature. And I'm going to whiz through a few more bits just before we open it up, and you can ask Chantelle any of your questions. We're running a bit behind, so if you can stay for the Q&A, that would be amazing. But if not, drop your question on the chat and we'll try and get it answered for you. Okay, so the challenge is you are going to design a wild and playful street. You're going to create a model of your design using whatever you want. It really doesn't matter, and take a photo. And then we would like you to write a letter persuading your grown-ups to help you set up either a rewilding project or a play street, or both if you can, in your own community. And we would love you to give your photo and your letter to your teacher or your parents so they can enter it into our competition before Friday the 28th of June when it closes. If you do, you could win loads of amazing prizes. One of my favourite is that you will get a virtual Build the Change workshop with David and featuring a real life Lego designer. You're going to get loads of outdoor games so you can have all of those amazing play benefits for you and your class, or at home for those home educators. And we're going to give you some Lego and a 3-month subscription to the day. So loads of amazing prizes there too. So we are going to share these amazing build ideas on a blog. So check out our webpage because that will be coming very soon. But they did some amazing builds. And just to help you with your letter, we have got some more resources to support you with that. So you can read all about learning through play outside and nature in our News Detectives Build the Change articles every Tuesday. And that's going to give you loads of arguments that you can use to persuade your grown-ups. So lots of facts and statistics. But you can also listen to our new Build Along podcast featuring Dominique Palmer, and she's an environmentalist and she is an expert at getting grown-ups to take notice of what you're saying and to listen. So to introduce herself and to give you some tips on writing your letter, she's recorded a little message for you. So we can play that now.
Hi, I'm Dominique. I'm an environmentalist, which means I persuade people to take better care of our planet and all the people that live on it. I'm going to be the guest on the new Build the Change Planet People podcast, so don't forget to listen while you build. And here are my top tips for finding your voice, making grown-ups listen, and persuading people to make a positive change. Firstly, in your letters, include why it is important to have these rewilded and playful areas. So that could be details about why rewilding our areas is important, and also while having playful areas outside to connect to nature is important. Secondly, remember to include your own voice. So think about, why is it important to you? Why do you love playing outside? Why do you love our wild areas and protecting our planet? And you can include your emotions and emotive language here as well. And thirdly, my tip would be to get creative with it as well. Think about different ideas you have for these different playful areas and play streets and include them in your letter, as that will mean that some of these ideas can be included, and also it will make the grown-ups see just how much you've been thinking about this. So good luck, folks, on writing your letter, and have fun in your future playful areas. Remember that your voice is powerful and your voice matters. Let's do this.
Wow.
Oh, she's
powerful. It's great.
She's so
Love that,
amazing.
Dominique.
Another very inspirational guest that we've managed to get. So highly recommend
Wonderful.
tuning into that while you build your entry to the competition. But now we're going to have some time for your questions. So we're going to start off with one question from our lovely youth council, just to get it all started. So you've still got time to send in your questions. So do those now and we will watch that.
What's been your biggest adventure so far?
My
Good
biggest
Wow.
adventure so far has probably been going to Slovakia, which is in Europe, and we were doing big mammal tracking. So they've got lynx, bear, wolves out there, and boar. Didn't see any of them, but we saw the tracks.
Wow, that sounds good. It's one of my dreams, Chantelle, to see bears in Europe. Awesome. Any other
too.
questions? Have we got another one on the video, Nat?
I think
Or
we're
we got
going to
some in
go
the chat?
to some of our viewers. Got some brilliant questions. So one that came through, I think
Awesome.
you might have already answered this though. What has been your favourite creature that you have met so far?
Okay, well, other than the hedgehog, I think seahorses down in Dorset. So I got to swim with seahorses, and yeah, believe it or not, we've got them in the UK and actually really close to the shore, and they're just amazing. These teeny weeny little things, and of course, the funnest fact about them is that the males.
They're amazing creatures. And Chantelle, I heard that they're also being spotted in the Thames now, because the Thames is it's clean enough before it gets into fresh water. Some seahorses have been spotted there as well, which is crazy to think that they're there.
That is
amazing.
crazy. I didn't know that, so that's amazing.
Yeah, I'll send you the article. What else have we got coming in?
Okay, sorry, my cat is meowing. I think he wants to ask a question as well. So if you hear a funny sign,
can you translate that? Translate that. If I could ask one, what is one thing in the UK that you haven't seen yet that you'd love to see?
Oh my goodness! I would love to see a whale. not a bilgax, just a whale. I think that would bring me to tears. And that's not a hard thing to do. I cry at everything. But yeah, if I saw a whale, I think I would probably pass out.
Amazing. We had someone also ask about, you kind of mentioned this earlier, but maybe a bit more detail around what you studied at school to do what you do.
Sure. So at sixth form, I studied biology. I did biology, chemistry, English literature and Spanish. And to get onto something like animal behaviour and wildlife conservation or zoology, you do need at least one science. To say, I will disclaim that I wasn't super good at them. I dropped chemistry like it was hot because it was completely different at A-level than it was to GCSE. And I remember flicking through the biology book looking for the stuff about wildlife, and there was like 2 pages. So that's why I decided to go down the animal behaviour and wildlife conservation as opposed to zoology, because it was a more hands-on and a bit less science at the molecular level, like the cell level. So yeah, just a science in some degree. And also I would say to make it your own, because a lot of people were doing projects on things, really important things like, diabetes, cancer, etc. And I went up to my teacher and I was like, can I do mine on the decline of tigers across the world? And she was like, yeah, I think so.
I love that. Make it your own. That's really good advice. Really good advice.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Nat, how are we looking for time?
Yeah, no, I think we've got time for one more question, and we're going to go back to our youth council because they had some really brilliant ones. So we'll do that and then we'll wrap up, I think.
What's been your trickiest problem so far and how did you tackle it?
Wow. Trickiest problem. That's a good question. I think one of the trickiest problems when I was working on the woodland project was it's sort of about rewilding, is fencing off certain areas of the woodland. So you'd fence it off for a number of years to allow the ground to recover. Because in woodlands that are really popular, there's something called compaction. So where you're pounding the ground, it's making the mud really hard, and it makes it really hard for plants to get through. So we fence off areas. Now, there's people that don't like fenced off areas. And so we would come back and bits of our fencing would be nicked. I don't know how, it'd be cut down and things like that.
Oh, dear.
And so it was quite hard to kind of communicate that, but we did decide that actually you do need to communicate it. So what we'd do is we'd go around with flyers in the local area, we'd put up signs to say why we're doing this and how long it's going to be. And that's super important as well. I've seen around my area, people have planted flowers and things, and they've put up little signs saying why they've done it. And I think that's really important to think about when you're doing your build, is maybe putting little signs that explain that this is a place for wildlife and we're not just fencing it off because we're being bad people that don't want you to go here. So I would say that was a problem.
That's a great I mean, the way people interact with nature is so tricky. Not everyone loves it as much as we do, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It's tough. Cool.
Yeah, really interesting to see the communication skills coming in as well. So yeah, thanks Chantelle. You've just been the best expert, and I hope everyone's got loads of ideas. I'm sure they have. We've run out of time, so I just want to say thanks to David as well. Thank you to everyone at home for your amazing ideas. So very quickly, what's next? Well, go outside and play and just get all those amazing benefits and help the planet as you do it. And we'd love to see what you made today. If you drew something or you built something, you could ask your grown-up to put it on our gallery. There's a link to that on the web page. Don't forget to listen to our podcast with Dominique Palmer. It's amazing, and it'll be available next Tuesday, just in time for International Day of Play. And our competition is now open for entries. So remember to send a photo of your model and your letter to us by Friday the 28th of June to be in with a chance to win those amazing prizes. And then just one final request, when this session ends, a feedback survey will pop up on your screen. Please could you take a few minutes to just fill this out so you can help us improve, but also you get put in for a prize draw to win a £50 Amazon voucher. And that's it. We're done. Thanks everyone. Good luck.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.